What is going on, everybody? Valorant has just revealed their 5-year music video and it was absolutely insane. We haven't gotten a good lore cinematic in ages, but this music video was full of some really interesting lore and I really need you guys to pay attention because there is a lot that was revealed that you may not have initially noticed. Do know that I'm making this video based off an initial first impression, and what I'm able to extract from the music video. I'm sure many of you guys will have some cool theories and other details that you may have noticed, so I might have a follow-up video after this one as we get some more information and theories revealed by the community. Alright, let's get into the video. Starting off, we have a visual of the sky as it's raining and the Riot Games logo in red. Just based off this, I have a feeling that this itself is meant to be Killjoy's POV, on the ground injured and looking up at the sky as it's raining on her, with the Riot Games logo in red symbolizing her nearing death. Brimstone then drops down a smoke and rushes in to help Raze carry Killjoy up on her feet, as she's clearly injured and there is some fighting going on in the background with Phoenix and Reyna covering them. Valorant's aircraft then lands and picks up the agents, and as it emerges from the smoke, we can see that we're located in Toronto, Canada, which, fun fact, is where I live, so it's really cool to have a whole scene take place in your own city. It's also where the upcoming VCT Masters is taking place, so I guess it makes sense to use this as a location to build up the hype for the upcoming event, new map, and new agent, which I'll get to in a separate video. We then get to see Mary, who is Phoenix's sister, playing the piano and singing, which I have to say, the vocals in this song are crazy good. This burnt origami here of a phoenix, the bird, does show up several times in this music video, so make sure you remember this. Up in the aircraft, Killjoy is seemingly in a lot of pain as Raze tries to stay by her looking very worried, and the expressions of Brimstone and Reyna in the background are almost like they're hopeless and they know there's nothing they can do to save her. This shot of Killjoy sinking deeper into the water as she fades away and getting pulled back out by an arm, which is Raze, is really amazing because it shows how even on the brink of death, love can be a force so strong that it can literally pull someone out from the deepest and darkest places. As Killjoy goes in and out of consciousness, she starts coughing up blood and it's sad to see how much pain she's in. And this moment here gives me chills every time because Phoenix just looks torn apart by everything that's happening with Killjoy, and it's very clear that he's getting memories of his own past and something that had happened there as well, which is coming up. As the aircraft continues to lift up, we have Mary singing in the background, and a nice detail is here on this tower where we can see the reflection of the aircraft on the glass, except it's made to look like the origami bird that Mary had on the piano earlier. And here's where we can see where this is significant, as when Mary and Phoenix were younger, he had made this bird for his little sister and given it to her. And she clearly loved this gesture as she had kept it for all these years. While the two siblings were sitting, this was then the moment where the first light event took place, as we can see what looks like beams of light falling from the sky. If you don't know what the first light event is, it was basically a massive Radianite event that took place on both Alpha and Omega Earth, which caused a large flash to go around the globe, causing a worldwide blackout for a few hours, and then everything came back on again. And afterwards, there were people who were affected by this event and turned into radiants with powers. And as time went on, the effects of the first light event also resulted in dramatic changes to the way technology and life worked on the planet. I like this shot of the Mirrorverse here as it shows both Alpha and Omega Earth, but it doesn't really do justice for Omega Earth because the first light event was actually very catastrophic for the other Earth, where it nearly ended all life compared to how on Alpha Earth everything just advanced further. I guess the way that Omega Earth here is faded and most of the first light is hitting Alpha Earth symbolizes how Alpha Earth got the majority of the Radianite and its power, whereas Omega Earth got little to none, which explains why the agents from that Earth constantly come into Alpha Earth to steal their Radianite in order to power their own planet and keep everyone alive. This shot here shows this city starting to lose power with the lights going out as this happens all around the world. Then we have Reyna standing by what looks to be like a beach with her little sister Lucia, as the first light event is happening. And we all had theories that something bad happened to Lucia where she got hurt and Reyna blames Killjoy for what happened to her, but here we can see that Lucia seemed to just pass out during this event. It's possible that in this case we're only seeing Lucia turning into a Radiant, and her actual condition where she's nearly killed may have happened later on by something Killjoy had developed and was used by Kingdom. Here we can see that Reyna was remembering this moment with her little sister, and despite how much she despises Killjoy, she still cares for her and seems to be shaken by this whole situation unfolding. Brimstone falling to his knees here next to Killjoy immediately brings a flashback to his past where he lost his lifelong friend Tariq in battle. It's been theorized that Tariq is actually KO who ended up being reincarnated as a robot in an alternate timeline. We do have a hint of this theory later, and Brimstone clearly does not know this as he's continuously haunted by the loss of his best friend, and losing Killjoy is bringing that pain he once felt all over again. At this point here, it seems like Killjoy has died and the agents are trying to rush back to their base as fast as they can. Ray's face is basically showing her disbelief and utter shock at what's happening and the real potential of actually losing someone that she loves. We get another nice scene of them dancing and hugging, but not long before Killjoy's arms get covered in crystals and she's pulled away once again, drowning. So this kind of makes me wonder that maybe Killjoy isn't fully dead, but she's just on the brink of it, which is why they need to rush to Sage so quickly to make sure that she can save her before it's too late. And if that's true, then that means that there's a time limit to after an agent quote unquote dies before Sage can actually resurrect them. And if they've been dead for too long, her powers may not work on them. I'll get a little more to this later. The team finally arrive to their headquarters and Brimstone jumps down with Killjoy in his arms and they all rush away with her. Everyone except Phoenix, who is still standing back and shaken by the whole ordeal. Just as he's about to get off as well, his younger sister's hand when she was a child reaches out and grabs him. But as Phoenix looks back to reach for her, the two of them start to drift away out of each other's reach with some flame embers coming off the two of them. And here we finally get to see what has been eating at Phoenix so much all this time. It looks like Mary was inside the theater when it caught fire and possibly all these other people here as well. And there's a good chance that everyone here was killed in the blaze except for Mary who survived. However, she did get really hurt from this event as she has a large scar on the left side of her face, which we can see better later. We also see that Phoenix was the cause of this fire to happen in the theater and he feels responsible and guilty for it, especially for causing harm to his little sister who he loves very much. And this whole event that took place in his childhood has been slowly eating him away until now he can no longer take it and it's causing him to mentally suffer. We get a closer look at Mary's face here as she's singing and we can see the left side of her face is visibly scarred. Most definitely from the fire that she was caught in at the theater, but what I like about this moment is that Mary doesn't blame Phoenix for it. Even in the lyrics in this scene as she's singing and crying, she's saying come home, come here, come out and let me breathe. I'd say that this is very intentionally targeted towards Phoenix, who has been distant from Mary on purpose because he's too scared to face her and see what he did to her. Maybe he's afraid of hurting her again and probably doesn't forgive himself for what he's done in the past. But Mary on the other hand is dying to see her brother who she misses a lot up to the point where she feels suffocated by his absence. So she's just asking, if not begging, her brother to finally just come back to her. Her tears which fall to the floor here turn into a fireball which Phoenix is holding in his hand, and he's screaming at the sky, again symbolizing that Phoenix is responsible and continues to feel responsible for the pain he caused his little sister. As the camera pans out, we can see Mary as her younger self in front of Phoenix, watching him as there are firemen rushing towards her from the back to save her. We also get a big Kingdom Corporation logo and a bunch of Kingdom agents in the foreground, as it seems like they were interested in Phoenix and his radiant powers along with this mysterious figure in black. We don't know exactly who this person is. He could be someone from the Scions, some other agency that we don't know of, or even possibly one of the people who created the Valorant protocol altogether. Who knows, he could be Agent 8. The music video goes back to Sage walking towards the agents with shards of radianite coming out from the ground where she is walking. And as the camera pans behind her, the entire atmosphere and background changes into a darker setting with Killjoy fused into a large crystal. Sage then takes her powers and throws it into this crystal where Killjoy is being held as she attempts to resurrect her. As she does so, these creatures begin to appear from the ground where the radianite crystals are. And this entire chain of events here is very important to Sage's lore and the entire lore story of Valorant, so pay attention. According to KO, who is from an alternate timeline and universe from the future, he said that his world had fallen due to a radianite war that broke out. And in that war, Sage was not a healer like she currently is. She was actually more of a weapon, indicating that there is more to Sage than we can see. And in this scene, we can actually see why. Sage's powers go beyond just healing, but it looks like she exerted herself so much here to save Killjoy that some of her other powers slipped out where she actually began to spawn creatures from the ground who the other agents had to fight off. That's pretty insane to see, and it perfectly explains why KO would see Sage as more of a weapon rather than a healer when it came to an all-out war, if she could bring up an entire army of creatures from the ground to fight for her. As Brimstone was fighting off these creatures, We also get to see KO in the background here, where on the left we see a human face, and progressively with each image going to the right, combining the human face with KO's robotic face. And this face looks very much like Tariq, who was Brimstone's childhood friend that died, which I mentioned earlier. So we could very much have confirmation here from Riot that KO is in fact his close friend reincarnated, but Brimstone simply isn't aware of this. The question also now lies as to whether KO himself knows who he is or who he was in his past life before becoming a robot. And an even bigger question is, who created KO? Someone actually had to take a part of Tariq's mind and put it into KO to combine the two of them, so that's another thing to consider. Moving on, we also get to see Reyna holding off these Radiant creatures as well, and showing us how her fighting and sacrifice continues to be for her sister as she holds her here. I'm a little confused as to where these soul orbs came from because these creatures just spawn from Radiant crystals, and they're not actually living beings. But I guess it's mostly meant to be symbolic here rather than real fighting going on. As the fighting continues, we finally get to see Phoenix joining in and taking part helping out his team. And this guy went off. He destroyed all the creatures in a single move. Probably him just releasing all his anger that he was holding in at once, as we see an image of his sister when she was younger, and now in the present in the background. Meanwhile, Sage is still working to resurrect Killjoy, but what's strange here is that she is struggling to save her. And for a brief moment, something really crazy happens. Sage's eyes, which are normally blue, fade out and they turn red for a few seconds, until turning blue once more and then glowing, and Sage basically going off completely and using all her strength to save Killjoy. Now what's really significant about this moment here is that one of the key differences between Alpha and Omega Sage are the colors of their eyes. Alpha Sage has blue colored eyes, whereas Omega Sage has red eyes. So why the heck does Sage's eyes turn red here? My theory here is that it's possible that Sage was simply not strong enough to resurrect Killjoy in this moment. Either Killjoy was too far gone to be saved, or Sage herself does not have the same degree of power as she used to, because the more she uses her powers, the more she wears out. So my headcanon here is that some way, somehow, in this moment, Sage was able to get help from Omega Sage, who briefly fused her powers with her, explaining the temporary moment where her eyes became red, and just as that happened, Sage gained the power she needed to save Killjoy. I don't know if she was able to forcefully steal Omega Sage's power temporarily, or if Omega Sage sensed what was happening and was able to connect herself with Alpha Sage to help her out. Either way, this makes sense to me despite how crazy it sounds. Of course, there is the question as to why Omega Sage would even bother helping Alpha Earth when they keep fighting them and trying to steal their Radiant. But we need to remember that the agents on Omega Earth are primarily stealing Radiant in order to save their own people and keep their life support systems running. Because again, on Omega Earth, their planet is going through an apocalypse unlike Alpha Earth. I do have a video covering these topics in my Mirrorverse lore video, so check that out if you want more info. Also, on the other hand, I could just be overthinking things, but it could simply just be symbolizing Sage's radiant powers failing on her, where her eyes do tend to glow blue when she's using her powers. But if she's not using them, then she does have normal brownish reddish eyes, so it could be that she's just going in and out of her powers as she's trying to gather the strength that she needs. But after all that happens, Killjoy is finally brought back to life. The atmosphere changes back to reality because remember, a lot of this fighting that we saw wasn't real, but more symbolic of what's going on in the background of all these agents and their powers. With Killjoy back alive, Raze immediately embraces her with kisses and a hug, and we get to see Sage on the ground with her neck covered in crystals, almost like how Killjoy was completely covered in it. This directly speaks to Sage's lore story and how Omen questions Sage whether she knows where the life she gives is taken from. Omen knows that while Sage's powers are a gift, it does not mean that it doesn't come with consequences. And this is further explained in Sage's dossier, where it's noted that Sage tends to be ignorant to the consequences of her powers and what she was taught in the past about balance. That just because she saves one life doesn't mean that another life is not taken. And that the more she continues down this path, the greater the toll on her is. Here we can see a glimpse of these consequences as Sage actually struggled to save one of the protocol's agents. So what does this mean for the overall lore of Valorant? Well, it means they can't be reckless anymore. If they have Sage who can revive them every time they die, then the agents can just go off being dumb and taking risks in their missions, knowing that they can just be brought back after, especially with Cypher dying pretty much every time. But after the events of this music video, There's probably going to be a big change where the agents need to be way safer and ensuring that Sage is no longer using her resurrection anymore. It could be possible that she ends up being not able to resurrect anymore in the future, or else Sage will lose her own life in the process. She might even be giving away a part of her own life in every resurrection, which could explain her weakened state. I also love the detail with Reyna staying next to Sage and helping her up. Despite what people think about Reyna hating Sage for being unable to help or save Lucia, she does clearly still care about Sage and shows some of that love here. And finally, at the end, we get a shot of Mary once more looking at the origami phoenix when she hears a knock and the door opening behind her. And based off her expression and reaction here, I think it's safe to say that Phoenix finally went to visit and reunite with his sister. Great way to end off the music video and lore cinematic, and an amazing song overall. Truly love the production and effort that went into this entire thing, and I do hope we get a lot more of these lore videos throughout the rest of the year. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got to learn something from it. Make sure to drop a like and leave your comments and theories down in the comment section down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future lore videos and updates as they come out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.